Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining yet another fascinating chapter of the Rainmakers discussing cloud. Today, with me, I'm very honored and delighted to host Petrika Ruta, who is the founder and CEO of SciScale, a fascinating startup dealing with assisted AI-assisted operation. Hi, Petrika, how are you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me, Zeb. It is an honor to be part of your podcast.
Thank you very much. So, without further ado, let's cut to the chase. So, when we're talking about AI, where is the market today, as you see from your point of view, the startup that exists for the past several years?
Yeah. Where should I start this? Well, about 3, 4 years ago, we started to look into this space called AI Ops when Gartner came up with the first market guide for enterprises in adopting AI. I would see that at the moment is a very wide spectrum of let's say, AI ops capabilities. However, this is evolving very fast. If we think of enterprises, I see a combination of customers which are focusing on a domain-specific AI ops solutions, like solving problems in a specific domain of IT or DevOps with AI, and we can go deeper into this AI topic because pretty much people are using it very generically, and the domain agnostic. From the beginning, a couple of years ago, when we started to look at this, we kind of understood that there is definitely the future is in it's around the domain agnostic, because when we speak about AI, we refer to data. And by looking and spending many years within the industry, um, we knew that customers were not going to get rid of their install bases and replace everything with something that have a specific data model. So we consider that domain agnostic AI ops solutions is and it's confirmed at the moment that is being consumed. Now, if we go back to the AI within IT operations, where there are multiple vendors out there, startups, even the big vendors at the moment are like very aggressive in bringing various solutions to the customers. And the term AI include many things. It could be either things such as anomaly detection, which is pretty much very well adopted by the DevOps teams. Um, it could end up with deep learning and the recent developments around deep learning. So, there are many things. It could start with statistical analysis. It could go to discovery and pattern predictions. It could go to topology analysis, like graphs, and of course, the holy grail, as we call it, the root cause analysis. Using AI to provide the root cause analysis into systems. And these are
Sure.
pretty
So,
much the
where do you
applications.
see, yeah, where do you see today the root cause analysis and what segments in the market, AI in general, and maybe the more sophisticated use case of need for root cause analysis is being adopted? What
I,
vertical segments in the market?
So the DevOps industry, I think the DevOps operations are really adopting root cause aggressively, mostly domain-specific solutions. If we think about the big vendors, which actually pre-train models, which are capable of providing probable root cause into very defined systems, like very strict systems. And now we see this area opening up, and either adopting the root cause analysis across multiple uh, um, you know s- complex systems where the data sets are diverse and which requires you know much more complexity and the flexibility from the solutions. So what I have seen very well adopted is like I call them the black box solutions, where you know the models are pre-trained on an existing data model, somehow transparent for customers, and providing specific outcomes, very practical and specific outcome regarding functionality of a specific an application, especially when we speak about the cloud and very well-defined architectures for delivery of applications. Now, what I see as a trend is that is evolving towards, let's say, complex systems where customers started to even consider training their own models to provide probable root cause with their own data scientists or with their own engines. And this is where the domain agnostic systems will provide some benefits.
Cool. So, I'm coming from Amdocs. I'm leading cloud technologies in Amdocs, and we are very savvy in the communication service providers domain. So, what do you see in that vertical? I think that SciScale already has some installment there. So, anything typical to the communication service provider domain in terms of leveraging AI and AI ops or anything like that?
So I think today I've seen a news from one of the large operators in the world claiming that is building a network that will run itself. And this is a collection of use cases and a huge kind of project for an operator to kind of, adopt AI in order to scale their operations at the global level. Now, with the customers that we've been working so far, what we have seen as a need is mostly around, let's say, getting rid of their current noise because they have a huge amount of information in their operation centers. We've seen as well the automation coming up, as a need pretty much all over the place, either if it's about network operations or infrastructure operations, or even moving into the cybersecurity world, right? So because the security need to be built in within the infrastructure, and the operation itself has to start adopting AI tools that will simply their and optimize their operations in order to face with the current challenges.
I see. And what is that? What are the business rationales to adopt AI ops? What are the main business catalysts for
So
that?
yeah, we see the predictive analytics one of the interest into the in some customers. We see as well the cost reduction as being another pillar, uh, because the more systems you have, the more incidents you have, the more people you have to focus on, manual tasks and repetitive tasks, and that started to become very complex. There is the shortage of knowledge within the industry as well. The more we move into, the cloud, we see that the skills are, required, and people need to retain those skills internally. And I think the help of machine learning and AI will start to solve that problem.
Yeah, I believe that it's not only about replacing a human being or
Yes,
replacing
we are
repetitive
definitely talking
tasking
about
with human
assisting.
beings. It's also about yeah, it's also about retaining knowledge, correct? Because when people leave, usually the knowledge lives with them. But when you are training the systems, the knowledge stays there. Could you elaborate on
Yeah,
that, please?
this is interesting because I think the analogy with the Tesla, right? So the pilot versus AI assisted works as well into those systems, right? So we wouldn't expect immediately that people will let AI taking over the operations and people will kind of go and lose their job overnight. I think in time, as the algorithms will start on, be better at helping people uh, to solve their operational problems in an efficient way. I think the assistant mode might evolve at one moment in time into pilot mode. However, it's still early. So the way I look at the adoption of the AI solutions into the operations, either if it's DevOps, if it's security, even if it's network, this is definitely into an assisted mode in which some of the tasks that experts are performing in the operation centers are somehow focusing more on building up capabilities rather than dealing with manual and repetitive tasks.
Cool. And what about reducing errors due to human fatigue? Do you see that also as a business catalyst? I mean, do you have any benchmarks, any proof points? Because what I'm reading in researchers, and I'm asking you from the practice level, if you see any value
Yeah,
from
I've
that
been
angle.
picking actually this particular topic is very, very important for the security operations because you don't want a night shift analyst to actually miss an important alert and that alert generating some troubles for the organization. So and usually at night this kind of fatigue comes in, especially after a 10-hour shift. And I think the use of AI into this space will bring a lot of benefits. Turning, bringing tools that will assist operations into enhancing their capabilities. I think this is showing already as being an interesting let's say interest of customers. I've been speaking recently with someone that was working
Cool.
with a very important cyber command in a very important city in the United States, mentioning that one of the most challenging problems that exist within today's cyber attacks are around making sure people read correctly the alerts, despite if it's midnight or 3 a.m. or
Yeah.
when. So these are the kind of things like I think the algorithms will, machine learning, specifically deep learning, will help operations.
Fascinating. So, last but not least, where do you see the future is heading to in
Well,
that entire
I mean,
domain?
coming back to the Tesla analogy, so I have a kind of a joke with my friends saying that when the Uber will gonna drop us at home without a driver, definitely there will no be. I mean, the network operation centers will not gonna deal with their incidents the same way they deal with it today. So I think the people will interlock more with the machines. I think the tools will adapt more into the interaction, into the cognitive, intersection with the experts, and I think this will bring overall benefits to enterprises because in the end, everyone wants to focus on be creative and rather than dealing with repetitive and traditional run books that are currently in place for many years, right? So I think we already see the shift into that. The role of AI, I think, uh, will um, will fuel also decision automation, right? So not only like bringing insights or discover patterns, but also assisting operations in making decisions. sometimes experts say that those decisions might be more rich, or more insightful than the current operations. So I look forward to the evolution of this. What I can say is that this is actually one of the ways we can address the current challenges in operations, because it could help as well retaining the knowledge in organization. It could help as well, um, let's say, differentiate uh, uh, solutions or customers into their product level as well.
Cool, cool. So that's really fascinating. So you see lots of prescriptive analysis where the machines will start decide, which is really fascinating. So, Patricia, with that, I would like to thank you a lot and thank our audience for watching and listening for another chapter of the Rainmakers discussing cloud. Stay tuned for more fascinating chapters coming ahead. Thank you very much, Patricia.
Thank you so much for having me, Zeb, and look forward to see how AI will help us even this podcast, right? Run this podcast, for from two different continents without interruptions and without you know uh, let's say impact on qualities, and because we in the end we use infrastructure, and those infrastructure need to heal themselves, right? Because we talked earlier about AI, right? That's where the future is,
Correct,
where
correct,
systems will gonna heal themselves. Thank you for having me.
correct. This podcast is indeed recorded in the cloud. Thank you very
Excellent.
much. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so
Bye
much,
bye.
Zeb. Bye bye.